Welcome to the 1% Club, where we talk about small changes that have a real impact every episode. I've worked with a lot of teams trying to improve how they deliver, and honestly, it gets complicated fast. This is about keeping it simple, small experiments for you to try. Let's go. I once walked out of a retrospective thinking I might just have lost the trust of this entire team. Not over a decision, not over delivery, but over a themed retro. So let me set the scene. This was a big team, around 15 to 16 people, mostly men around 40 to 50 years old, and 70% of them were offshore. This wasn't a broken team, they were a solid delivery team. They were constantly shipping, always moving, but that was also the problem. They'd gotten into this rhythm of build, deliver, repeat. For this team, there was little time to pause and no real space to reflect and improve how they were working. Now, I'd been with them for about 6 months at this point, and we had done around 6 to 7 retros. And it was the same format each time, and I started thinking, are we just going through the motions here? It's getting a bit dry. You know when a retro technically works, but there's no feeling in it? That's where we were. So I thought, alright, let's mix it up. Let's do something different, something a little bit more engaging, something fun. And I'd seen all these creative templates online, loads of energy, loads of personality, and I picked one. A Barbie themed retro. Pink everywhere, dolls, quotes from the movie, and I was wearing a Ken style shirt too. Now, it's important to note there's nothing wrong with themed retros. The issue wasn't the template that I had chosen. The problem was I didn't know my team well enough, or I just didn't think about what they wanted. Anyways, we started the call and then just silence. Not normal silence. That kind of silence where you instantly know, yeah, I've messed this up. A few of the cameras were on and the looks on their faces, it wasn't confusion. It was more like, Kieran, what is this and why are we doing it? And in that moment, instead of just owning it, I panicked and I started to defend myself. I was explaining why I chose it and what I was trying to do, how I thought it could help. And we spent about 10 minutes doing this. And you can feel it, right? The energy just dropped. And we did carry on. And we got a couple of actions and people contributed. And on paper, the retro worked. But the vibe was just gone. And after that session, I felt embarrassed. Like properly embarrassed. And this is the interesting part. Not a single person said anything to me directly. Nobody complained. But you start to notice things. People skipping the next retro or just turning up late. More silence than usual. And you start questioning yourself. Did I lose their respect? Did they think I don't get them? Have I taken a step backwards here? And to be honest, I think I did. Not with everyone, but with some people. Because it probably felt like I treated them like children. And that's where the real lesson kicked in. Because my intent was good. I know it was. I wanted to re-engage the team, break the repetitive, dry retros that we were doing and make them better so we could drive better outcomes. But I skipped a step here. I didn't ask them what they wanted. I assumed that more creativity meant more engagement. But for this team, that clearly wasn't the case. They didn't need gimmicks. They needed relevance. They needed simplicity. They needed something more direct that would help them to get to the heart of their challenges for that sprint. So here was the real takeaway for me. Understanding your team is everything. Not just what they do and how they deliver it, but what do they enjoy? What do they find valuable? What kind of things do they engage with? Because a template that works for one team can completely fall flat on its face with another. And the truth is, trying to be more engaging can sometimes make it worse, which is kind of what happened to me. So what would I do differently now? Well, two simple things. First, I'd read the room better. I would use what I know about the team, not what I've seen online. And secondly, I just asked them, how do you want to run this? What would make this useful for you? Because the goal isn't to run a clever retro, it's to run a useful one. And if you're listening to this, here's something you can try for your next retro. Don't change the format, just ask one simple question. What would make this retro more valuable for you? And build from there. There's your 1% for this week. Don't overthink it, just try one small change and build from there. If this resonated, I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you next time.